We are truly a brand based on legacy, formulation, and results. We're truly a transformative skincare brand, as I said earlier, established in 1990. And we are scientifically proven and very customizable brand. But this is where our story becomes interesting. We are truly a family legacy. Here, these are my in-laws, this is Dr. Fulton and my mother-in-law, Sarah Fulton. Vivant was started in 1990 in Newport Beach, California. Sarah was a known chemist and researcher in her own right. She was a graduate from Drexel University in Philadelphia. And she supported all of Jim's research and assistance. They both met in Philadelphia while Jim was doing his residency there. Just so you have an idea of what the skincare industry looks like today, of 186 skincare brands, they are owned by 5 conglomerates. We are one of the few remaining that is still privately held. In our case, we are still not only just privately held, but we are family owned. The company is run today by their eldest daughter, Susan Fulton Arregui, who happens to be my wife, who we all met earlier this evening. Susan's background comes in from the University of Miami in finance and international business, and she brings a very strategic vision to our company. So, what makes the difference? It's truly our quality and purity. All our products are formulated with USP raw materials. I don't know if you know the difference between a USP and a non-USP raw. A USP stands for US Pharmacopoeia, and for a raw material to receive that seal of approval, it needs to be 99.9% pure. If a brand does not use USP, it's only 70% pure. In that manner, we really don't cut corners. We are always out to provide in producing the highest quality products. Vivant, as I said, started in 1990 out in Newport Beach, California. We moved out about 21 years ago out to Miami, Florida, and that's where we're headquartered today. We have about a 25,000 square foot facility where everything is housed. That's where our headquarters are. We have our FDA approved laboratories there. All our marketing, all our customer service, everything is controlled within our space in Miami. And we have our FDA approved laboratories. So, the man, Dr. Fulton. Dr. Fulton really had a fascinating history. And aside from being our founder, I'd like to tell you a little bit of a story of how he took this journey to go into the field of dermatology and create the amazing products that he developed in the last 55 plus years. Jim was born in Iowa. Iowa is in the Midwestern part of the United States. And he was born with horrible neonatal acne. And then he continued to have acne during his adolescent years. And their parents did everything to be able to help him with his acne, but nobody could really figure it out. But he was born a very smart young man. And at 16, he decided to become an acneologist, as he coined the term. And he headed off to Tulane for pre-med. It was 4 years, so he takes it to 4 years of college. And then he remained there for medical school for another 4 years, graduating top of his class by Beta Kappa. And then he heads off to the University of Pennsylvania to do his residency in dermatology. And there he meets his mentor, Dr. Klingman. And in 1969, he worked on this little brown bottle, as he used to say, and that was the development and discovery of retin-A, or tretinoin acid. So in 1969, he kind of became a rock star at a very young age. So he remained up at the University of Pennsylvania for a couple of years, and he continued investigating other vitamin A's, which would then subsequently become the Vivant formulations. But about 1971, they were doing research into how to stabilize benzoyl peroxide. Benzoyl peroxide had been around since 1905, And all the way from 1905 to 1972, the way benzoyl peroxide was utilized was that a dermatologist would order a compound from a pharmacist. They would mix it and apply it to the patient's face and would hope that it would take effect. But sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. So the University of Miami down in Florida was leading research into benzoyl peroxide. So they told Jim, why don't you come down to Miami and we'll get you into the PhD program in biochemistry and see what you could help develop for us. So Dr. Fulton, his wife Sarah, and a very young Susan moved down to Miami. And while he was at the University of Miami, there he developed what's known today as a stabilized form of benzoyl peroxide. Of course, that wasn't enough for my father-in-law. He also had to develop topical erythromycin. So by 1973, he basically has developed what's known as the gold standards in dermatology, having co-developed Retin-A, benzoyl peroxide gel, and topical erythromycin. With that being said, that was basically starting the foundations into Vivant. After having developed these gold standards, my father-in-law and my mother-in-law Sarah set out really with a quest to help those with acne. So they opened the first of what was to become 13 acne clinics throughout the United States. They opened the first in South Florida, and then they opened 12 more throughout the United States. And they had these acne clinics for about 10 years, from the mid-80s all the way to the mid-70s, all the way to the mid-80s. And then they sell the clinics about 1987, and at this moment he goes back into research, and he had his two priorities. One was to develop a new type of vitamin A, and second was to develop a new type of AHA. And here come the key ingredients for Vivant. And one of those key ingredients was his introduction of clinical Mandelic Acid into the skincare industry in the early 2000s. Mandelic is really a fascinating alpha hydroxy acid. It's an alternative to glycolic. And what Dr. Fulton loved about Mandelic acid were its properties. Number one, that it's antiviral, it's antifungal, and it's antibacterial. And since it's a larger molecule, it's great for all Fitzpatricks, but in particular, Fitzpatrick's 4 to 6. You see, during the time that he had those acne clinics, he was using, of course, Retin-A and benzoyl peroxide. But the United States was changing a lot. It was becoming a lot of ethnic skin. He was treating a lot of Hispanic Americans, such as myself, down in South Florida. He was treating a lot of African Americans, and he was treating a lot of Asian Americans. And ethnic skin is a different ballgame to that of Fitzpatrick's 1 to 3. So Mandelic is something he really fell in love with. Because of that larger molecule, it can carry a very strong active through the skin without creating too much reactivity. His second priority was to develop a new type of vitamin A. Again, he was using Retin-A during those 10 years of the acne clinics, but tretinoin, or Retin-A, too harsh, particularly for ethnic skin. But since he was up at the University of Pennsylvania, after having developed Retin-A, he was playing around with several types of other vitamin A molecules. And one that he fell in love with was retinol propionate. Retinol propionate is a wonderful molecule, which I'll talk about in the next slide, because its molecular structure is very similar to Retin-A. Let me see if I can jump in. Here we go. So here we're going to talk a little bit about vitamin A's. So this V here represents the depth of a pore. So over here we have tretinoic acid, or as we know commercially as Retin-A. And tretinoic is a 20 carbon molecule. So what does that mean? Well, number one, we know it's prescription based. And so it absorbs very quickly into the skin and creates a skin cell renewal cycle very quickly. As we all know, we all shed skin every 30 days. At my age, it's a little slower, but we age slowly, and then with vitamin A, tretinoic, what it does, it cuts down that renewal cycle to 15 days. A lot of skincare brands carry what's known as retinol palmitate. That's a much larger molecule, 36 carbons. Dr. Fulton really didn't have an interest in that because it's such a long molecule, such a large molecule, such a long carbon chain, that its absorption rate's going to be very, very slow. But he was in love with retinol propionate since he was playing with that up at Penn. Number one, because it's only 3 more carbons than tretinoin. And just because of those 3 additional carbons, what happens is that it had all the properties of tretinoin, but not the strong reactivity, which is what he was trying to get away from, particularly again for ethnic skin. So, retinol propionate is wonderful because it goes through a 2-cycle changeover to become a retinoic, but again, it doesn't cause that heavy flaking and redness that you would find with tretinoin vitamin A. And this is our patented retinol propionate combination. So in 1990, Dr. Fulton patents the use of retinol propionate in combination with AHAs. So all our different vitamin A's, you can see one over here earlier, but for example, our different levels, our Dermagel, our Exfoliate, or Exfoliate Forte, are a combination of retinol propionate, and then each of them have little engines of different alpha hydroxy acid levels. We have lactic acid, and one has glycolic, and then glycolic and salicylic. So it's really an amazing formulation where the combination of both the alpha hydroxy acid and the vitamin A create amazing results. And then clinical Mandelic Acid. Again, as I said earlier, it is a revolutionary AHA because of its large molecule, antiviral, antifungal, antibacterial. It promotes collagen production while it's suppressing melanocytes, so that's wonderful for hyperpigmentation, and it's pregnancy safe. And so, unlike salicylic acid, which only targets the epidermis, clinical Mandelic penetrates deeper into the skin. So it's really an amazing product. I know Zacy has had a lot of success with Mandelic Acid. We have a full Mandelic Acid line. Dr. Fulton was the first doctor to introduce Mandelic Acid into the skincare industry as an at-home remedy. So for regimens, we have washes, toners, and 2 different levels of serums. And then this is the last thing Dr. Fulton was working on before he passed, and this is the FF3 line. And the FF3 line is a novel combination of our patented retinol propionate with growth factors. My wife Susan, Dr. Fulton left many studies that he was working on. Susan picked up the baton on that and continued doing the research, and still to this day. And Vivant introduced FF3 about 2 years ago. And we have right now 2 key products, the Bio-Intensive that works in combination with the Hydra, and the Triple Repair that works in combination with the Biopeptide. The Bio-Intensive is again a combination of retinol propionate, growth factors, Mandelic Acid, Pseudoultramonas ferment. That is an amazing product. This is focused primarily for women 45 plus, women who are menopausal, perimenopausal, and the skin gets thinner and crepier. You can't be too aggressive with a very strong vitamin A, and this is where the Bio-Intensive comes in. And it has a morning serum, the Hydra Intensive, which is an amazing hyaluronic, with different combinations of growth factors, correct, Susan? Yes. And then there's the triple repair. The triple repair complex works in combination with the biopeptide. The triple repair is an amazing product for photo aging. We have seen some amazing results that come in at 60 days. And that is paired with a biopeptide, which is a 4% Mandelic Acid serum that works during the day. And so this is the latest thing. The FF3 line continues to expand itself with new products coming out. And that is to continue really the legacy and that our company is and our history. So, Vivant's legacy in the global market. Vivant has earned its reputation as a legacy brand, as I just said right now, and continues to be trusted name in global markets, including Vietnam, with a focus primarily on ethnic skin, particularly Fitzpatrick's 3 to 6. Vivant addresses skincare concerns such as acne, hyperpigmentation, and anti-aging. So whether you're treating acne, menopausal, or seeking anti-aging solutions, Vivant provides proven results backed by decades of scientific research. I'd like to thank you. Thank you so much for hearing a little bit about our story and how we make our products.